Well, hello everyone, my name is Zwiggojr and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be visiting an old series that I did back in the day, where I would take a random trainer class and take the Pokemon from said trainer class and try to beat a Pokemon game with it. For example, in the past I did fisherman and hiker and stuff like that, and today I'm going to try and do it as a sailor. And today I will also be playing a regular emerald because it's been a while since I've played a regular emerald and not a ROM hack of it. So if we take a look at the Pokemon that a sailor uses, we can see that he uses a Wingull/Pelipper, Tentacool/Tentacruel, also Machop and Machoke, and the last two Pokemon are Wailmer and Spheal, which I can't evolve because the sailor doesn't seem to have any Wailords or Celio/Walreins. Of course, the rules for this challenge are going to be easy. I can only use these Pokemon in battle. I won't be allowed to use any items in battle either. HM Pokemon are allowed if needed, and that's about it. And before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done it already. Let's try to aim for 1.5 likes. I bet y'all that's gonna be impossible. You can also follow me on Twitch, where I'm currently streaming Pokemon Omega Ruby without gaining any experience, so if you're interested in that, you can follow me down there as well. The link is in the description. And with that out of the way, let's just jump right into Pokemon Emerald as a sailor. There's only one name you can give to a sailor, and that's R. Of course, as our starter, we're going to be picking Mudkip because I'm going to be using him as a very decent HM Pokemon. After obliterating the raccoon and saving Professor Burge, we can move on to the first rival battle with May, which we also destroy with Mudkip. Then we go back to the lab to get ourselves some balls from May, and with said balls I can finally start this challenge by capturing our big boy Wingull, also known as Pico. We then help this dork catch a Pokemon because our dad forces us to, and we easily travel to the first gym without any more problems. Now Roxanne should be an easy gym battle because she's of course weak to water type. And our first two Geodudes are exactly like you would think. Very easy to beat. But then you get to our third Pokemon, Nosepass, which isn't quad weak to water and has a lot more special defense than Geodudes. This makes this Nosepass an easy 3-shot with Water Gun, and it can always one-shot me with Rock Tomb. Besides that, Roxanne also always likes to use a potion after I hit it twice with Water Gun. So what has to happen is the Nosepass either has to hit itself with its confusion 2 times in a row, maybe even 3, or I have to get a lucky critical hit with my Water Guns. Or it can also miss a Rock Tomb, but I'm not gonna go and bet on 3 misses with Rock Tomb. So I grinded my Pico up to level 14, and then I came back to the gym. After once again taking down the 2 Geodudes with my Water Guns, my Pico was finally ready to take on Nosepass at level 15. And here's one of the scenarios that I've mentioned. I went for Water Gun, did about half of its health, he missed his Rock Tomb, I went for another Water Gun while she used the potion and got a critical hit taking down Nosepass, which also gives us our first gym badge. We then meet up with one of our fellow sailors, a Team Aqua Grunt, and he says, "Grah, keel haul it all." That's such a typical pirate thing to say. Sailors should honestly just be another class of Team Aqua. I feel like they would fit together pretty well. Anyway, after defeating the Team Aqua Grunt, Mr. Briny, a fellow sailor, might I add, comes up to us and thanks us for saving his Pico. Have you ever wondered if Mr. Briny actually has other Pokemon than Pico? Leave in the comments down below what you think Mr. Briny would have as his other Pokemon. As I was trying to leave Rustboro City, we had to fight May once again, and she had a Wingull and a Trico, which I both 2-shot with my wing attacks. After destroying May, we head on to Mr. Briny's house, and he sails us to Dewford Town. As I'm walking along the beach, I show off my fishing skills by capturing a nice little jellyfish to add to the team. Of course, the only name you can give to a tentacle is a cool tent. After this little encounter, we also meet up with Steven Stone, the best champion ever. Changed my mind. And after delivering that letter, we go on to Brawly, the second gym leader. I thought that this fight was going to be very easy because of my Wingull's wing attack, and I could always cheese with some supersonics, but the thick boy Hariyama was able to take advantage of me a couple of times with his vital throws. But after only 4 attempts, I was able to overpower the thick man. This battle starts off great because I get a critical hit on Machop with wing attack to take it out from full health. Metatide is up next, and that thing is a one-shot too. Then finally, it's Makuhita time. And Pico was really feeling it today. He went for another wing attack and got another critical hit, winning me my second gym badge. After this, I could go to the next city, Slateport City, and I go to the museum to meet up with my fellow sailor boys. Sadly enough, I had to beat them up again because they tried to make me walk the plank. After that little get-up, we try to make our way to Mauville City, where we have to fight May again. She starts off with her own Wingull, and I decide to lead off with Tentacle and go for the Supersonic Thief combo. After hitting it a couple of times though, my jellyfish finally gets taken out by a wing attack, so I switch into my own Pico. And I proceed to destroy her Wingull with wing attack, her Slugma with water gun, and her Grovyle with 2 wing attacks as well. And just like that, we defeated May. I'm just throwing it out there, Pico for president. But you all know what comes next. Watson. And since I don't have any other Pokemon available to me than Tentacool and Wingull, you might have already guessed what this fight was like. It was attempt after attempt after attempt after attempt. And I'm pretty sure I was here for like 2 hours straight of resetting. Just because Watson is so insanely hard to beat. So I just tried with Tentacool and Wingull first, and I could not get past the second Pokemon, Electrike, because it outsped me and went for Shockwave, which one-shots my Wingull and Tentacool. So after about 20 to 30 attempts, I was like, okay, I'm not getting past this Electrike, let's evolve my Wingull into a Pelipper. With Pelipper on the team, I got a whole lot further. I was even able to get to his last Pokemon, Magneton, but then I got pretty unlucky with Tentacool because he got paralyzed because of the Magneton and of course couldn't attack a couple of times, which made me lose the battle. After that attempt, I had another 30 attempts where I didn't get to Magneton anymore and got a lot of close calls with Manectric. But in the end, I always ended up losing. But eventually, I was able to beat Watson. Watson starts off with his Voltorb, and I'm able to hit 2 water guns, and my Pelipper also gets hit with a Spark, which leaves me with 15 HP, but the Voltorb is down. Next to out is Electrike, so I try to go for Supersonic but miss, and I get taken out by Shockwave, so my last hope is Tentacool. So I go for a couple of Bubble Beams to take out the Electric Pupper. Then Manectric comes out, so I go for the Supersonic to confuse it. He hits himself a couple of times in his confusion as well, as I try to hit a couple of Bubble Beams. After he heals up with a Super Potion, I'm able to take him down, but he also was able to hit a single Shockwave on me. Because of Tentacle's very high special defense, I was able to survive. Now we go into the last Pokemon, Magneton. So I go for the Supersonic and manage to somehow hit 2 Bubble Beams, which takes out Magneton and gives us our 3rd gym badge. I then pick up my HM for Rock Smash and go to Mount Chimney. And I always wondered what they did to Tabitha in the remakes. Like, why did they have to make him so chunky? He was pretty fit in the originals. Anyway, after taking on Tabitha, it's time for us to go and take on his boss, Maxie. Of course, Maxie's first Pokemon is a Mightyena, which my Tentacle can easily wreck with 2 Bubble Beams. Next up on the list is Camerupt, which we also one-shot with Bubble Beam, and finally is Golbat, which I can also take down with a couple of Bubble Beams. And just like that, we defeated Maxie. And after the battle, my Tentacle also evolved into a Tentacruel. Before we head on to Flannery, I capture myself my 3rd team member, Machop, and of course, I'm going to be naming him Chad, because he's an absolute mad lad. Remember how Watson was the hardest gym battle ever? Well, this is Flannery, and she's going to be the easiest gym battle ever. Flannery leads off with Numel, and I lead off with my Machop. I'm able to hit 2 Karate Chops before I go down to an Overheat, and switch in Pico to finish it off with Water Gun. The next Pokemon is Slugma, so I naturally stay in and take it down with 2 Water Guns, but I also got poisoned because of a Smog. After taking down Slugma, Camerupt came out, which was of course an easy one-shot with Water Gun, and then her final Pokemon, her ace, Torkoal, comes out. And so I once again just spit some Water Guns on it in order to take down Flannery and win my 4th gym badge. And he of course starts off by saying "Arr," because that's how you start off any conversation. Just try it. Just try it. Try to talk to a girl, start a conversation with "Arr," and I'll guarantee you have some luck. I also must mention that Machop did evolve into Machoke before this battle. As we start off, we go with Machoke against his Spinda. And the Spinda goes for the teeter dance to confuse my Machoke. I then go for the revenge, he heals up, and 2 more karate chops take down Spinda. Next up is Vigoroth, which is able to hit a critical slash on my Chad, but I hit back with a revenge, taking him down from full health. Next up is Linoon, who hits a facade, but doesn't take me out, so revenge hits back and finishes it off. Last up is Slacking, and he is finally able to finish off Chad. So I go into Tentacruel to hit a couple of bubble beams, but sadly enough 2 facades take me down. So I go into my last hope, Pico, and Pico goes for a couple of water guns as he heals up with a hyper potion, and then also get put to sleep, but I was able to get off a supersonic. He then hit himself a couple of times. I was able to hit a couple more water guns and finish off Slacking to win my 5th gym badge from my dad. We then also get ourselves the HM for Surf from Wally's dad. As I try to go to Fortree City, I first pick up the Good Rod. I once again show off my fishing skills, which I got from playing too much Red Dead Redemption. I fish up an entire whale, capture it, and name it Thick. We then make our way to the Weather Institute to beat up Shelly and get ourselves a cast form, and I'm going to grab the Mystic Water from the cast form because that might be useful in the future. Just before I enter Fortree City, we have another encounter with May, of course. She is once again a pretty big pushover because I can one-shot her first Pokemon Slugma with Surf, Grovyle with 2 wing attacks, and Lombre as well with the 2 wing attacks. After the battle, she gives us the HM for Fly. We meet up with Steven again to beat up a Chameleon and make our way back to Winona. And her team is actually very easy to beat except for 1 Pokemon, and you might have guessed it, that's Altaria. Because I don't really have any Ice type moves on the team yet, and I don't have any good moves against it in general, it's easily able to set up a couple of Dragon Dances and then go for a couple of Earthquakes or Aerial Aces to take down most of my team members. But to try and counter Altaria, I did give my Machoke Rock Tomb. I of course also tried to just go for the Supersonic and hope that it hits itself enough, but that didn't happen a lot of the time. And besides that, Winona can also use Hyper Potions if her Altaria gets into the red. Luckily, it was only this Altaria that gave me trouble. So after a couple of attempts and some good RNG luck, I was able to beat Winona as well. She starts off with a Swablu, so I lead off with Thick and go for some rollouts to take it out. She then sent out a Tropius, which also got destroyed by 2 more rollouts. She then sent out her Pelipper, which shared the same fate as her last 2 Pokemon, some rollouts to the face, and it's dead. Then Skarmory came out, and she was finally able to take down my Wailmer. So I then went into Pico and one-shot at the Skarmory with Surf. Then her Altaria came out, and this time I just decided to spam Surf with Pelipper because I was like, maybe this is gonna do more damage, and eventually I did. I took down Altaria without much problems. But it was only because she didn't really use any attacking moves and just kept on spamming Dragon Dance. And just like that, we got our 6th gym badge. Our next destination is Lilico City, and I try to go to the department store, but May is blocking that off, so we have to go and beat her up first. Her first Pokemon is Tropius, and I lead off with a cool tent. After going for a couple of assets, the Tropius goes down. Slugma is up next, which gets one-shotted by Surf. Next up is Pelipper, so I go into Chad and go for 3 Rock Tombs to take it down, but the Pelipper also decided to stall it out a little bit with 3 Protects. After the Pelican goes down, she goes into her last Pokemon, Grovyle. So I go into Pico, go for 2 wing attacks, finish off Grovyle, and now we can finally enter the department store where I can get myself some TMs for Blizzard, which I'm going to learn to a couple of my Pokemon. We then open up a cave which leads inside of a volcano where Groudon is sleeping. As Maxie is trying to wake him up, we of course have to put a stop to him. Of course, Maxie leads off with his Mightyena, and I lead off with a cool tent, so I go for 2 Surfs, which takes out the Mightyena rather quickly. Of course, Camerupt isn't going to survive a Surf either, and we immediately go into Crobat after that. My Tentacruel finally goes down, so I swap in Chad and try to go for a Rock Tomb, but I miss and get taken out by 2 wing attacks. So I then decide to go into Wailmer, who is finally able to finish off Crobat with 2 more Surfs because one of them was a critical hit. I then go ahead and beat up this Aqua Admin, which has also had a big change in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, like he literally changed skin color. And after defeating the Team Aqua hideout, I go ahead and go to Shoal Cave to capture a Sfeel as my final team member, which we of course aren't going to evolve. After capturing this little ball, I go to Tate and Liza for my 7th gym badge. Of course, they lead off with Claydol and Xatu, and I lead off with Pelipper and Wailmer. I'm able to get off 2 surfs with Pelipper and Wailmer respectively before going down to a Psychic and an Earthquake. At least my Wailmer goes down, my Pelipper is totally fine. So I go into Sfeel and I try to go for another Surf / Aurora Beam. I hit a Surf, but then Sfeel goes down before I can take out Claydol. So I switch in chat predicting the Earthquake from Claydol, and I was right and he took it pretty well. So I hit another Surf and go for Rock Tomb, but my Surf is able to take down Xatu, but they use a potion on the Claydol, sadly enough. My machoke was then able to hit a Rock Tomb on the incoming Lunatone, lowering its speed. So I then went for another Surf, taking down a Claydol and doing decent damage on Lunatone, but Lunatone took down my machoke. Now it's Pelipper and Tentacool versus Lunatone and Solrock, and after I'm able to hit a Surf with both of my Pokemon, their Lunatone and Solrock go down and I win my 7th gym badge. Before we can dive to the seafloor cavern, we first have to help Steven by taking down Maxie and Tabitha down at the space station. So I pick my 3 Pokemon and jump into the battle. But I only had to use 1 Pokemon, and that was my Pelipper. I just went for Surf the entire time and all of their Pokemon went down very easily. Surf is kind of OP in Generation 3. So after getting the HM for Dive, I decide to go to the Seafloor Cavern to take on Archie. So Archie has basically got the same team as Maxie, except Sharpedo, not Camerupt. So his Miena goes down with a couple of Surfs from my Thick Boy, but he was almost able to take me down though. Next up is Crobat, so I go into Pico and I am not able to hit my first Blizzard and I get confused, but my second Blizzard connects, killing Crobat from full health. The last Pokemon is of course Sharpedo, so I stay in and go for 3 Surfs because Sharpedo's special defense is non-existent and Pelipper easily takes it down. Kyogre yeets his way out of there, Maxie comes along, and the weather is kinda screwed. So we go ahead and wake up our favorite green snake to shout at the big fish and the big Godzilla looking thing, and after that we can move on to the final gym badge with number Juan. And number Juan of course is also running mostly a water type team, but there is one Pokemon on his team that gives me more trouble than everything else. And that's of course Kingdra, because it's water dragon type, which means it resists my water type moves ×4, and I basically can only take it down with blizzards. It also has double teams, so if it's able to set a couple of them up, I'm never going to be able to hit a blizzard. He also has a lot of potions, but besides that, if he runs out of potions, his Kingdra also has rest, so if it gets into low health, it can always heal up if it wants to. So now that you know all that, you know what I have to deal with if I fight this Kingdra. So let's get right into the winning run, because this took me a while. It started off with Love Disc versus my Wailmer, and it immediately started off by confusing me. I hit myself a bunch in my confusion before my rollout got going, and once I got it down into red health, he decided to heal up. Then as my final rollout hit the Love Disc, it decided to go for a flail and take down my Wailmer. So I then went into Pico and surfed the Love Disc to take it out, then Whiscash came out, which went down to 2 surfs, and he was also able to set up a Rain Dance, so my Surf now does even more damage as he sent in his Celio, which I took down with 2 Surfs as well. After taking down Celio, he went into Kingdra. So I went for a Blizzard, which did about half of its health. Then he set up a double team, so I went for a Supersonic. It hit itself in its confusion. I went for another Blizzard, got a critical hit, and took down Kingdra, so that was pretty lucky. His last Pokemon is Crawdaunt, and of course 2 more Surfs take that thing out as well, and with that we have defeated Juan. Now since we have 8 gym badges, we can normally move on to the Pokemon League, but before we do that we have to take on Wally. Wally starts off with an Altaria, and I start off with my Thick Boy. So I go for the Blizzard, it doesn't quite take it out, and he switches out into Magneton before I can land another one. I then decide to stay in and go for the Surf. It doesn't quite finish it off, and it takes me down with a single Thunderbolt. So I go into Chad, get hit by a Thunderbolt, but take it like a Chad, and go for the Karate Chop to finish off the Magneton. Altaria comes back out again, so I try to go for the Rock Tomb, but he heals up with a full restore, and I also miss my Rock Tomb and get taken out by an Aerial Ace next turn. I then decide to go into Tentacool to go for the Blizzard and finally finish off this Altaria for good. Gardevoir then comes out, but it doesn't even hit me, and I am able to hit 3 Surfs to take it down, but it was able to set up a Future Sight and some double teams. Then his Delcatty comes out, I hit a Surf and get put to sleep. Then I easily wake up a couple turns after and take out Delcatty as he sends in his final Pokemon Roselia, and surprisingly, this Roselia was able to take down my Tentacruel with a couple of Giga Drains. The Roselia then also proceeds to take down my Spheal with a Magical Leaf because I haven't trained it up one bit. Then I go into Pelipper and finally finish it off, which means that we can move on to the Elite Four, starting off with Sydney, the Dark-type user. Sydney leads off with his Mightyena, so I go for the Surf, and as I'm about to kill it with another Surf, he switches into Cacturn. Next turn I do manage to outspeed it and finish it off with Blizzard. My Wailmer also gets Water Spout, so I get rid of Rest for that. Sydney then decides to go into Mightyena. He is able to hit one takedown before I finish him off with Surf, and he then switches in Shiftry, who confuses me with a Swagger, but my Wailmer doesn't care. I go for the Blizzard, it doesn't quite take it out, he heals up with a full restore, I hit a Surf again, then he uses Double Team, but my Blizzard still connects next turn, finally finishing off this Shiftry. Next on the list is Crawdaunt. I'm able to hit with Surf once again, he sets up a Sword Stance and takes me out with a Facade the turn after. So I go into Machoke, get hit by a Strength, but my Revenge is able to take it down after that. As he sends out his last Pokemon Absol, I decide to stay in and go for another Revenge, but he outspeeds, of course, because Revenge is negative priority, and I get destroyed by an Aerial Ace. So I go into the Pico, hit two Surfs, finish off Absol, and now we can move on to the second Elite Four member, Phoebe. And Phoebe of course has Ghost types, with her starting Pokemon being Dusclops. So it's my Wailmer against his Dusclops. I just start spamming some Surfs until it's in red health, then he decides to heal up. I hit a couple more Surfs until I finally run out and have to go for Blizzards. After they run out as well, I go for a Water Spout, but because I'm so low on health, it barely does any damage and the Dusclops takes me out with a Shadow Punch. So I go into Chad, which I did teach Earthquake, and that takes out the Dusclops. Banette is up next. I'm able to hit one Earthquake before going down to two Psychics. So I swap in Pico again and go for a couple of Surfs to take it down. Then she sends in a Dusclops. I go for a couple of Surfs, but it does have Rock Slide and is able to do a decent amount of damage on my Pico, but I do win in the end. Another Banette comes out, so I stay in, go for another Surf, doesn't quite finish it off, I get taken out, switch in Tentacruel and finish off Banette that way. The last Pokemon I have to face is Sableye, so I go into Tentacruel and two more Surfs, finish off Sableye, winning me my second Elite Four member battle. Next up is of course Glacia with her Ice-type Pokemon, and she was a little bit harder than the last two. Once again, solely because of one Pokemon, her thick-ass Walrein. It's probably pretty obvious why this thing is so annoying to beat. It's because it takes hits like nothing even phases it, and it can dish them out even harder. Besides that, if I do manage to get Walrein down into red health, she always has a full restore ready. But this wasn't too bad. There are way harder fights coming up, so let's just get into the winning one. I lead off with Machoke and she leads off with a Celio. I managed to take down the Celio with a Karate Chop and a Revenge combo as she then goes into Glalie. So I get hit by an Ice Beam, but I managed to hang on and hit a Revenge back to take out Glalie as well. Another Celio comes out and that thing finally takes down my Machoke with a Blizzard. So I go into Thick, who is able to hit a rollout, but the Celio takes me down with a couple of double edges. But it did take a lot of damage from the recoil. So I go into Spheal, spam Surf until the cows came home, and eventually also go down to some double edges while doing a decent chunk of its health after she uses a potion on it. So I go into my Cool Tent and a Surf finishes off this Celio. Then Glalie comes out and two Surfs bring it down into red health as she then heals up with a full restore. I then hit two more Surfs and luckily my second one of those was a critical hit, taking down Glalie, and now it's only her Walrein left. So I naturally go for a Supersonic to try and make it hit itself a couple of times. After it hits itself a couple of times, I go for a Surf and then I confuse it again. After I get it down into orange health, his Citrus Berry activates, and my Tentacruel gets taken out by an Ice Beam. So I go into my last hope Pico, go for a few more Surfs, and finish off this Walrein, which means that we can move on to Drake, the Dragon Trainer. And to be honest, Drake's entire team is very easy for me to take down because I have Blizzard, and most of them are Dragon types, but again, one Pokemon is giving me trouble, and it's the same one as with Juan, Kingdra. This Kingdra is a little bit different though. It doesn't have Double Team, but it has Dragon Dance and Body Slam. So if it's able to set up a couple of Dragon Dances, which it always seems to be able to, it's going to do a lot of damage with Body Slam. And added to that, it also has smoke screen, so my Blizzard is already pretty low on accuracy, and if my accuracy gets dropped even more, that means that I'm not going to be able to hit a lot. But again, besides this Kingdra, it was pretty easy, so on my 5th attempt I was able to beat Drake. Drake leads off with Shell Gun, so I lead off with Sfeel, go for the Blizzard and one-shot it. Then Salamence comes out, so I stay in, get hit with a Rock Slide, but I manage to survive, and a Blizzard also one-shots this thing. Then Altaria comes out, and of course my Sfeel is going down here. So I go into Tentacruel to hit 2 Blizzards to take that thing down too. Then he switches in Flygon, so I switch out into Pelipper, predicting the Earthquake, and I was of course right because Tentacruel was in. My Pelipper then misses his first Blizzard and gets paralyzed by a Dragon Breath. I almost get taken out by another one, but then my Blizzard connects, taking down Flygon. Kingdra then finally comes out. I try to confuse it with Supersonic, but get taken out by Body Slam. So I go into Tentacruel to confuse it as it sets up a lot of Dragon Dances. Eventually, I also hit a Blizzard after missing 2, but after that I misclick and go for Thief and get taken out by Body Slam. So then I go into my Machoke, get hit with a Surf, and I return a Revenge to it to finish it off and win my final Elite Four member battle. Now it's time to move on to the champion, Wallace. And I would rather have Steven here because Wallace is actually insane. This battle took me 3 hours to beat. 3 hours of sped up resetting because somehow, some way, I didn't want to go back to grind. But you'll see eventually that I had to because it wasn't possible at these levels. I could only take out like 1 or 2 of his Pokemon before he would absolutely destroy me. I could basically do no damage to Tentacruel except with Machoke because the rest of my Pokemon are special attackers. His Wailord is also damn hard to take down, but that's the least of my problems because he also has a Ludicolo with Double Team, Giga Drain and Leech Seed. And he loves to set up some double teams, so once he's at 6 double teams, he starts spamming Giga Drain and Leech Seed to take down my entire team very quickly. So I took a look through my TMs and I found Double Team and Bulk Up in there, so I teached both of those to Machoke. Of course, with these 2 moves, I had to have an opportunity to set them up as well, which was not easy. The only way for me to set up these double teams was for him to send out Ludicolo and for him to start double teaming up as well. Then, after we both set up 6 of our double teams, I would have to set up 4 bulk ups or more in order for Machoke to destroy the rest of his team. But in that time of me setting up a lot more bulk ups, he had a lot of opportunities to hit me. Sometimes I would get super lucky and I would be able to get past Ludicolo, but also, his entire team outspeeds me, so if they connect with a single move, my Machoke is dead because all of his moves are basically special. This one time I got to his Gyarados, I was super stoked because I was about to beat him, and then I ran out of Karate Chops and I couldn't hit the Gyarados because I only had Earthquake left. Sometimes I would also leave the Pokemon League in order to grind up some of my Pokemon and just give me a better chance of winning, basically. But eventually, I was able to beat Wallace. Let's see how much RNG I needed. So the battle starts off with my Wailmer against his Wailord. Eventually he switches out into Ludicolo, which is what always happens. Then I switch into my Machoke. We both set up 6 double teams and then I go for my bulk ups and he misses all of his moves. I then start spamming Facade because I got rid of Karate Chop because Gyarados just wouldn't go down otherwise. And with Facade I finally took down Ludicolo. After like missing 10 Facades first though. Next up is Wishcash, so I go for the Earthquake, which one-shots. Wailord also gets one-shot by an Earthquake after it set up a Rain Dance. Tentacruel as well. Then Gyarados came out, so I set up 2 more bulk ups and then I started spamming Facade, but every time I just got him into red health and then he would use a full restore. So 3 full restores later and I finally defeat Gyarados by using another 2 Facades. Then finally is Milotic. And we also managed to one-shot that with an Earthquake, and just like that, we have defeated Pokemon Emerald as a Sailor. But we're not done yet. We still have 1 more battle to go, and that's against Steven Stone. I knew that at these levels I was probably not going to be able to take down Steven, so I grinded up a couple more. So I returned at around level 65 to 66 and took on Steven. He starts off with Skarmory, which I'm able to hit with 2 Surfs, but not before I get hit by an Aerial Ace. But those 2 Surfs did take it down. Claydol gets 3 shot by Surfs because he decided to set up a Reflect and also use a full Restore, but that was really no problem. Armaldo then gets 1 shot by a Hydro Pump, as he then sends out Cradily, which I also hit with a critical hit Hydro Pump, taking him down from full health as well. Aggron is also an easy 1-shot with Surf, and then Metagross comes out. My Pico was able to hit 1 Surf before going down to a Psychic, sadly enough. So I switch in Chad and try to go for the Earthquake, but he also gets 1 shot by Psychic. Wailmer tanked his Psychic like a champ and hit a Surf in return, but the turn after he does get taken out by a Meteor Mash. So I go into Tentacruel, outspeed Steven, and win this battle. And just like that, we have defeated Pokemon Emerald as a Sailor. It was a nice little run. It's been a while since I've done something like this where I just play through a regular Pokemon game as a certain trainer class. So let me know in the comments down below what trainer class I should do next, or if you want me to do anything else. As always, I want to thank my membership and Patreon supporters. If you want to sign up yourself, the link is in the description. The support is always appreciated. And with that out of the way, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I'm zwiggojr, and I'll see you guys next time.